The Dallas Mavericks have had somewhat of a troubled past when it comes to getting and keeping big men, particularly at the center position. The laundry list is long, and many on that list never really had a positive impact on the team. Names like Christian Laettner, picked up by Dallas in 2000, and his time in Dallas was short-lived. He averaged 7.5 points a game and 4 rebounds while playing only 53 total games. Sean Bradley, who was pretty serviceable, but he couldn't get the Mavs to become a championship contender. He played for Dallas between 1997 and 2005. Tyson Chandler is the exception. He was a great addition to the 2011 Mavs championship team. He also won the NBA All-Defensive Second Team honors in 2011. The kid was a true beast when it comes to anchoring the defense. Currently, for the 2024 season, the addition of rookie Derek Lively and Daniel Gafford has elevated the Mavs to a great defensive team. The list of Path's Mavericks centers is long, but one had me thinking, what if he didn't have the troubles he had? How far could he have taken the Mavericks as a rookie back in 1986? Let's talk about Roy Tarpley. What could have been? Roy Tarpley's story starts in New York, where he was born in 1964, at a time when race tensions were at an all-time high. Riots ripped through the city, in which the riots started in Harlem. They were ignited due to the shooting of a 15-year-old young man named James Powell by a white off-duty police officer on July 18, 1964. As Roy matured, he would stray a bit and would dabble with drugs at a young age. Selena did her best to keep her kids on the straight and narrow, but living in New York was not easy in the 1970s. To show the kids something different and keep them from hanging with the wrong crowd, she would send them to her brother for the summer, down in Mobile, Alabama. But as time passed, young Roy would have a growth spurt, and with this happening, Selena sent Roy to his other uncle, a former basketball coach that lived in Detroit. His uncle ran a basketball summer camp in which Roy got into basketball more so. Roy got extremely better skill-wise that, before he became a senior in high school, he received a 4-year scholarship to Michigan. By the time he made it to campus, Roy grew to be 7 feet tall. He was truly the big man on campus, and he partied as such. His partying reputation preceded him, so much so that he was slated to be a top 5 NBA pick, but fell to 7th, where he was drafted by the Dallas Mavericks in 1986. The Dallas Mavericks were pretty stacked then, with players like Mark Aguirre, Rolando Blackman, Derek Harper, Sam Perkins, just to name a few. As a rookie, Roy helped the Mavericks reach the playoffs. They would lose in the first round to the Seattle Supersonics 3-1. The following seasons, they made it all the way to the Western Conference Finals and would lose to the LA Lakers in 7 games. In that LA series, he averaged 12.7 points and 12 rebounds a game. Not bad for a second-year player. The 1988-1989 season was a rough one, in which the Mavericks' record was 38-44, missing the playoffs after an exciting run against the LA Lakers in the previous season's conference finals. Roy played only 19 games that season, but still ended up with 14 double-doubles. The 1989-1990 season was a much better one for the Mavericks. They pushed their regular season records to 47-35, making a playoff but lose in the first round to the Portland Trail Blazers. The 1990-1991 season, Roy would only play 5 games. That season was the start of his downfall. He was suspended the season before by the NBA for a DWI. Then, in the following season, he was suspended again by the NBA for another DWI, and eventually was banned from the NBA for violating the NBA's drug use policies. Drug and alcohol abuse can ruin the mind, body, and soul, and this was what was happening to Roy at that time. His want to play basketball and make a living from it taken from him, and I'm sure this caused him to spiral down the dark path. His mother moved down to Dallas eventually to help her son as he went through rehab. At the same time, the Mavericks were on pins and needles with their young star going through these trying times. With the league banning him for violating the drug and alcohol abuse policy, Roy decided to fight back. He began to sue the league, citing the Americans with Disability Act due to the league refusing to reinstate him. The lawsuit finally came to a head in 2007, with the Equal Opportunity Commission ruling that the NBA violated the Americans with Disability Act. Roy was 42 years old when the case was final. Roy would be reinstated but would not play more than a few games in the NBA. He would eventually play overseas and play for many teams in the US, but none were in the NBA. Roy would never get back to the level of play that he once played. The abilities he possessed as a rookie were good enough to possibly see him become an eventual All-Star. The Mavs had high hopes for Roy, but the addictions he faced were too much for him to recover from. A player that could have easily gotten 20 points and 20 rebounds a game with the skills of a guard in essence. If only he could have shook off his demons, the Mavs would have been contenders for many years with Roy Tarpley. Sadly, those demons would never release him, and eventually, Tarpley would succumb to a worn-out liver at the age of 50 in 2015. Tarpley was survived by his 84-year-old mother, Selena Tarpley Thomas of Mobile, ex-wife Dawn, and daughter Harmony. His short-lived career with the Mavs will forever be remembered.